Fixed costs are business expenses that do not change as the level of production goes up or down. They are one of two types of business expense, the other being variable costs. Variable costs do change as the volume of production changes. For example, a lease on a building is a fixed cost because the monthly rent is the same regardless of production. Raw material costs, on the other hand, are variable costs because increasing or decreasing production requires an immediate change in raw materials. Fixed costs are the key to achieving economies of scale, meaning a company makes more profit per unit as it produces more units. For example, Marcel's Monster Bikes has a lease for $50,000 per month. If it produces 5,000 bicycles, the cost of the lease is spread over 5,000 units, or $10 per bicycle. If the company sells 10,000 bicycles, it spreads the fixed cost of the lease over more bicycles. The cost of the lease is now $5 per bicycle. Marcel's Monster Bikes now has lower cost and higher profit per bicycle by producing more units while keeping some costs fixed. This is economies of scale. Note that fixed costs are only fixed over a certain range of production volume. When production increases far enough, fixed costs generally must be increased. For example, if Marcel's Monster Bikes sells 100,000 bicycles, it will likely have to lease another building and hire more managers, raising its fixed costs. Variable costs vary depending on a company's production volume. Variable costs go up when a company produces more goods or services and go down when it produces fewer goods or services. This is compared to fixed costs, which do not change in proportion to production volume. For example, BA Donuts Incorporated produces donuts and pastries on a daily basis using raw materials like sugar, flour, milk, and eggs. It also needs to pay for the production facility, insurance for the storage unit, security surveillance, and equipment. The variable costs BA Donuts needs to pay are sugar, flour, milk, eggs, and any other material they must use to produce donuts. The more they produce donuts, the more they will have to pay for raw materials, but the less they make donuts, the less they'll have to pay for raw materials. The cost of the production facility, insurance, security surveillance, and the equipment are all considered fixed costs because regardless of production volume, those expenses need to be paid. Variable costs are important because management needs to know its variable and fixed costs to see how profitable the company will be if they produce more or less. Investors and analysts usually consider companies with a high ratio of variable costs to fixed costs to be a safer investment, as their profit margin is less volatile and profitability and risk is easier to take into account based on a production basis.